I'm Holly.
And I'm Bridget.
And this
is Girls Next Level.
Welcome back to Girls Next Level, everybody. We're getting into the worst part of my most embarrassing episode. Do you have a most embarrassing episode that you would delete if you could?
Oh, I mean, episode 2 is still...
Yeah, I figured you would say that.
...my top one. I'm curious about the workout episode because I've never revisited it, and I feel like there's some things I don't appreciate and that is going to be in that episode, so I don't know if I'll want to eliminate that one too or not.
Yeah, I don't think that one's embarrassing to you from my perspective. I think it's obvious what they're doing, and it just makes them look bad, but... we shall see.
Yeah.
What are you up to after this?
Well, can I tell you a funny?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this before, but I'm like super, I guess I would say cheap. Like I'm very frugal. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And I do not do any of the delivery services. Like I don't have Postmates. I was
like, me too, but I do all of those.
I know, you said before, you're like, I'm a for the delivery services.
Like I live for Postmates, I live for Instacart. I just don't think I'd be able, like I need the convenience. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
So I don't do any of that because I look at it and be like, oh wait, it's $5 if I order it on here and it's more and I can just go pick it up. I'm just going to go pick it up. Like, and then I like bring up an item and it's like, $1 more than it would be at the store. And I'm like, no, that all adds up. I'm just going to go to the store and get it. And so but this week I'm like super, super busy and I'm just going to be real. I need tampons and I need to go and get them. And it's the last thing I want to go and do is go and get them. And so Nick's like, well, why don't you just like do the Walmart Plus thing and have them delivered? And I was like,
You're like, I don't want to break the seal.
I know. So I was like, well, let me just look into it because like I know my credit card offers free Walmart Plus, but then I know that when you order online, they still charge more per item. And then there's like tip and like there's other fees involved, just having the service is covered for me. But like, I know it's still going to be more. So I did it. I put in my whole order and I would say it's probably about, my order was like $50. And I would say it would have been about $50 in the store, maybe $54. And then total having it delivered and tip and all that kind of stuff came to like $65.
Yeah.
I think it was like $10 to $15 more than if I had gone to the store myself. Mm-hmm. But my tampons are waiting for me this morning outside the door.
Good. Yeah. So. Well, sometimes you just need it. Like DoorDash saved my when I was in Santa Barbara last summer and the crown of my tooth came off.
Yeah.
And it was kind of late. Like I couldn't rush to a dentist. It was already evening. Everybody was closed. So I needed to get the dental cement that they sell at the drugstore.
Yeah.
Rainbow's in silk classes now, like the acrobat thing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that's
Does she
going
love
after
it?
This. Yeah.
And then she wants to go to Sephora?
Yeah.
What does she want at Sephora?
I've taken her there before and she bought like a Gucci perfume. I'm trying to get her into skincare, but she's not really into it, which in a way I'm kind of like, okay, good, because I want to keep her in that bubble of not giving a shit about what she looks like for as long as possible. Because as a woman, we don't have that bliss long enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then at the same time, you want her to have like good skin healthcare,
totally.
like type of thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm trying to lean towards. So I don't know what she wants there, but we shall see.
It made me think automatically because I've seen like reels or TikToks, I don't know what they are.
Oh, about Sephora Kids?
Yeah, like taking it over and like buying like $1,000 hauls and they're wearing all this makeup and these fancy like creams and stuff like that. And they're like, you're 11.
Yeah, and the Sephora employees are like, they're so rude and they hit me over the head with stuff.
Yeah, that's the kind of I've seen and I'm like, whoa.
So funny. So before we get into this episode, I just want to go over like my mindset a little bit before we film this. I mean, I've said this before, summer of 2006, I was kind of in like a little mini depression, not a big one, but just because I kind of felt like everybody was moving on but me. Everybody kind of got to graduate but me, which looking back, I'm like, you were shooting a hit show. You're going to be on the cover of the magazine. What do you care? It just didn't feel like that at the time. So I'm hitting my 5 years with Hef and thinking, there's no progress in this relationship. Even though looking back there was, but didn't feel like that at the time. It just felt to me, especially being in my 20s, that 5 years was such a long time to be with somebody and not have like any kind of commitment. That just felt like a lifetime to me.
Yeah.
A lifetime. Now it doesn't feel that way. But back then, mega. And the other thing was going into this episode, I was kind of excited about it because I felt like it was the first time I was getting like, quote unquote, my own episode. Because like you guys have both had birthday episodes, hometown visits, and I hadn't had anything like that at this point.
Yeah.
So even though it's my anniversary with Hef and it's shared with Hef, I kind of felt like this was the first time I had a plot line that was like a main theme for an episode. So I was kind of excited about it going into this event because I thought, oh, I finally get a thing. But that'll come into play later. So the next scene we get into is you are in your room and there's this cute little 1950s bumbling music playing in the background.
I didn't even notice the music.
Very. And you're on the phone and you're calling Sprinkles Cupcakes. And is this the first time we've seen Sprinkles Cupcakes on the show?
Yeah.
Because Sprinkles Cupcakes was kind of a new thing in the early 2000s. I don't know if it got started here in Southern California, but it wasn't something that was like everywhere. Like there weren't vending machines in the airports back then.
No, gosh, no. You had to come to LA, and I think it was in Beverly Hills, and you had to get it here. Like, yeah. And there were lines down the street, and it was like a thing.
It was like gourmet cupcakes, and everybody tells me they think of Girls Next Door when they think of Sprinkles Cupcakes because this was the first time we got them on the show, but it became a thing, particularly with you. It was always like Sprinkles Cupcakes, and back then, I mean, I look at it now, and it just looks normal, but back then, those seemed like really giant cupcakes.
They did, yeah.
They seemed huge.
Well, because a normal cupcake is a small...
Yeah, like the ones you make at home.
Yeah, and that's really all we had. There wasn't really cupcake shops back then. This was kind of like the first of its kind.
Yeah, and I notice every decade there's like a trend in baked goods. Like in the 2000s, it was cupcakes. And then in the 2010s, it was donuts, and now it's cookies.
Well, Sprinkles, the reason why, I wanted to try them and get them for you guys because it was like a thing, and I thought this was something special I could do and add to it and stuff. But then I became friends with Candace, who started Sprinkles, and so then they were just like, just let us know anytime you guys want Sprinkles at the mansion.
That's so cool.
And so I like had them on like speed dial, and they would deliver them to me. I didn't have to go stand in the line or anything. They would just bring them to the back gate of the mansion, and security would walk them up, and they were just there. So I mean, how can you refuse that?
Yeah, they're so amazing. I remember I got hired to open like the first Sprinkles in Vegas, and they gave me like, along with the fee, they gave me like this gift certificate for like, I forget what the amount of money was, but considering you're buying cupcakes, it was like a huge amount of money. And I remember we used it for Josh and Todd's wedding at my house. They got, instead of having a cake, they got just all Sprinkles cupcakes. It was so cool.
That's
and like
cool.
All these fun flavors.
Yeah, and Candace has blown up. I mean, that Sprinkles cupcake, as you know, is all over the world now. It's in every airport. It's in every mall. The vending machines. Yeah. And she was just on Shark Tank as one of the sharks.
Wasn't she on a baking show too?
Yeah. Yeah, she did a baking show.
Bakers or something.
She did a baking show. And yeah, I just saw her on Shark Tank like last Friday night or something. And I'm like, so wow.
What's your favorite Sprinkles flavor?
I love the vanilla one. I know that's so vanilla.
No. I was going to say that too. There's something, like I know vanilla sounds like the boring flavor.
Yeah,
there's something special about the Sprinkles vanilla. It's like extra creamy and just, I don't know what it is.
It has like, I don't know, vanilla bean or something like real extract or something in it.
The texture's really good. I like getting the vanilla when it has like the sprinkles on top of it.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, that's the one.
I remember when we got Sprinkles cupcakes, it was later on in our time at the mansion because I remember like Lindsay Wagner was there, one of the playmates, and we were in the dining room and it was late and like Hef was pissy with me because I was down there, and we got a box of Sprinkles cupcakes and it was holiday ones, and one had like a Christmas tree sprinkle on it, and we were trying to figure out what flavors they were, and I kept insisting that one was pine because it had a tree on it, and for some reason, I don't know, I mean, we weren't high, we couldn't have been high, but I feel like looking back on it, we must have been high because like me and Lindsay were just dying laughing over pine flavor. Anyway, we're not sponsored by Sprinkles. We're just like legit that enthusiastic.
I think people thought the show was at that time, but it really wasn't. Like it really was just such a thing and so amazing to have it and be able to get it that I just kept doing it.
And they make dog cupcakes.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. And they have little tiny dog cupcakes, and they would keep them on the counter next to the cashier, and they were like, I don't know, $1.25 or something like that for one. But they said people thought they were were free samples and would take them and just eat them.
Oh my God.
So they had to put like a big sign around them and put like one of those little like things over it, like a clear cake lid thing.
Oh my God.
Because people were like, oh, a sample. I'll take that as they're walking out. I was like, they must be so disappointed in this sample.
Right? Because obviously the dog ones are going to be bland.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No sugar.
Oh,
they're
that's
like
detrimental.
They're like, oh, these things suck. I'm throwing these out.
Oh my God.
We've all had embarrassing BO moments. I remember this one time, and it wasn't that long ago, when I totally forgot to put on deodorant. And all day long, you're like kind of trying to sniff and make sure nobody else is smelling you. You're like, I hope it's not smelling it, and I hope no one else smells it if it does.
Fortunately, Lumi Whole Body Deodorant is making it so none of us ever have to worry about BO again. Lumi delivers outrageous 72-hour odor control everywhere from your pits to your feet, and yes, even your privates.
New customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code and link. Use code NEXTLEVEL at LumiDeodorant.com, LumiDeodorant.com.
I love Lumi because it's so light and fresh. You can put it anywhere, and it smells good. I love the lavender one, the toasted coconut.
Mm-hmm. Lumi Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. Use code NEXTLEVEL for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code NEXTLEVEL at LumiDeodorant.com.
So you have sprinkles cupcakes, you're setting them all up on a cake stand in the kitchen, and then Lori, our pastry chef, comes along and does a really cute scene where she acts like she's kind of pissed, but she wasn't, right?
She was not at all. And in fact, I say in commentary that she reaches out to me later and she goes, Bridget, they made me look like I was so pissed in that scene. I wasn't mad at you for bringing those in. And I was like, I know you weren't, but it's funny. And then Brandon, he's one of the chefs too. He's like, I have them all like balanced on this cake thing, and there's some of them are double layered and stuff. And he's like, do you need help with that? And I'm like, no, I think I got it. But then they make it look like I fall and drop them all.
Oh no.
Which I think is funny, but it definitely didn't happen. And then it shows Lori again going,
oh yeah, I like that.
She's all happy that I dropped them.
So then when we cut to the next scene, which is right before you do the whole fondue dinner setup, it shows an outside shot of the mansion, but it's a time-lapse shot where you see clouds speeding over the mansion really quickly. Why do you think that was chosen? Do you think it's supposed to convey to the audience that we're rushing around or that time has gone by? Like, why do you think they used that as opposed to like a regular shot of just the normal sky?
Ooh, that's an interesting question because I didn't put any thought into it, but I think that it looked like what was happening before, me getting sprinkles and stuff, was earlier in the day. Now speed up to now it's nighttime.
Yeah, and we're rushing around.
Yeah.
Bustling. So busy.
But honestly, do you know what day this really was?
No.
This is the same day as the bunny hunt at the mansion.
Oh, wow.
So we shoot the bunny hunt all day long. I run and go get the sprinkles cupcakes, and then I come back, and then me and the staff are setting up the melting pot, blowing up all those balloons and stuff in preparation for the anniversary dinner that night.
Damn,
it's like,
we were really fitting it in.
Yeah, and we talk about it a little bit in the next episode.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Go ahead.
We talk about it a little bit in the next episode because there's a scene where Kendra like crashes on she's writing out your guys' card, or maybe it's this episode, and she crashes on the bed, and we talk about how that was a super long day.
Yeah, it's interesting too because when I look at the bunny hunt episode, I see myself as so high-spirited and in such a good mood, and then at the melting pot, I fucking crash. And I wonder if me wearing the bunny costume and Hef being a grump and not wanting me to wear that bunny costume like was kind of a build-up to that night.
Could be.
Because I was super excited to wear it, and he was just being cunty about it.
Yeah. We'll get into that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in living room with Brian and Alan and Crystal, and we're blowing up all of the balloons. And Brian is doing like an OTF, which we've told you before is called an on-the-fly interview, which means it's not a like sit down and the lights and everything. It's just the cameras are like pull him aside and the producer just asks him some questions. And he says, tonight's a very big night. Tonight is the anniversary for Mr. Hefner and Holly, and we are going to be doing a fondue dinner. We're taking the entire living room and turning it into the Melting Pot, and it happens to be Holly's favorite restaurant. But I think we should talk a little bit about the Melting Pot. I know we've had to have mentioned it here before, but we used to go there, you and I, not with Hef.
Yeah, there wasn't one super close to the house. There was one down in Irvine. We would go there when we went to like Knott's Berry Farm with the girls. And there was one in Pasadena we would go to sometimes. But I'm telling you guys, dinner time traffic in LA, driving from the mansion to Pasadena is like an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back.
Well, we say it took us 3 hours to get to the Pasadena Melting Pot.
I remember that one night. Like, we made the commitment to go there, and traffic was just so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It was
horrendous. Honestly, you can get from LA to Pasadena with at a different time of day in like, 40 minutes, 30 minutes? But yeah, so taking 3 hours, even an hour and a half. Maybe we meant an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back.
Yeah.
I don't know. But either way, it just took forever. But we love, love, love the Melting Pot. I wonder if it's still in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, that's the last one there's like a couple left in the country, and that's the last one that's like near us. There used to be one in Vegas that's not there anymore. Yeah, the first Melting Pot I ever went to was in Portland. I want to say more like in the Beaverton area. It was in high school. I went with some friends and we went for like prom or something, and it was in this really cool old wooden house that looked like it was built in the 70s, and it had like these big chandeliers made of like different colored glass bottles. It was very like 70s upscale hippie, and it was like our first Melting Pot experience, and they had the same menu they had now, but it didn't look like the chain Melting Pot restaurants that you know. Like, they had the same pots and the same menu, but that building was really cool, and I wonder whatever happened to that. And I remember we went there and like dinner was $100, and we thought that was so expensive.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, we went home and told our friend's mom about it, and she's like, ooh, we were just like blown away.
Yeah.
But I've loved the Melting Pot ever since.
I love the Melting Pot, and we used to get a specialty drink there called the Sour Patch Kid.
Sour Patch, yeah.
And it was
like a Sour Patch martini.
So good. It was like melted Sour Patches in there, and we loved that. And I got the recipe from them. I think, did we have the mansion make them too?
I think so, yeah.
It was so good. And then, we had done the Melting Pot for Holly's birthday.
Like 2 years earlier.
Mm-hmm. And I did it as a surprise. I told Brian and the chefs, and they did this whole thing where they went to the Melting Pot and they talked to the general manager there. They sat down, they had the full course meal. I told them exactly like what we wanted to order and stuff. They got it so they could taste it and sample it and everything, and talk to management there. We're able to get the exact pots.
Yeah.
The exact seasonings, the exact cheeses, the exact everything.
And then they built a couple little tables with like the fire thing in the middle.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
So that we could do it at the mansion, because we would never get Hef to go that far for a dinner.
I know. It's crazy. Can I tell you about the Kevin Burns fondue pic that happened years later?
What?
Okay, so this was years later. It was like after Holly's World, but I was before my falling out with Kevin. And I was just at a place in my life where I felt like I'd done a lot outside of the mansion. Like, I'd done my own spinoff, my own show in Vegas, stuff like that. But I still couldn't get out of the shadow from like just being a Playboy girl. And I felt like I just really needed to like draw a line in the sand. And anytime Kevin hit me up for another Playboy thing, I'm like, I have to just say no to, I can't be talked into it. I have to say no to every little thing. So he hit me up and he was like, oh, here's this picture of you and Hef eating fondue at your house. Can I use this? Because he was producing a show about like food in America or restaurants in America, and he wanted to cover the Melting Pot. And I don't even know why he was asking me, because obviously Playboy owns the rights to that photo, because it was one that Elaine took. So he doesn't even really have to ask me. I think he was just doing it because he expected me to think it was like a fun walk down memory lane or something, and thought it would be a fun excuse to reach out, I think.
Yeah.
And I said to him, no, I'd rather you not. I'm really trying to like not be associated anymore. And he flipped out on me. He was so pissed. And I said, but Kevin, like, it's disrespectful. Like, I'm with somebody new. I don't want old pictures of me and an ex popping up everywhere in new things. Hef is with Crystal now. She's going to get annoyed and pissed. And he goes, who fucking cares? She's just another blonde. And he was like flipping out. And I was like, Jesus Christ. He goes, all I'm trying to do is show that celebrities eat there. And I was like, Jesus.
Whoa. Summer is here and your wardrobe needs an upgrade, right? Instead of a flimsy fast fashion haul, spend your money wisely on high quality essentials that will last beyond the season. Quince is my spot for quiet luxury without paying luxury prices. And speaking of summer, I just got the cutest shorts. They're like so soft, they're drawstring, pockets. I'm loving everything about them. I'm practically living in them already.
Quince offers a range of must-have items like 100% European linen under $50, luxurious mulberry silk skirts, and of course, Italian leather bags and 14-karat gold jewelry from $30.
All their prices are 50 to 80% less than similar brands, and because Quince creates timeless, classic styles that won't go out of fashion, you'll have them in your closet forever.
Well, as you know, I'm addicted to the Quince cashmere sweaters, but it's summer, so I got this really amazing like silk skirt that goes just past the knee and a silk camisole top, and I'm so excited to wear it.
Even though it's summer, you have raved so much about the cashmere sweaters that I bought a little cashmere zip-up hoodie from them, and I love it. Like, it's perfect. It's lightweight enough to wear still in the summertime, like when it cools off at night.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Upgrade your closet this summer with Quince. Right now, go to quince.com/nextlevel to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's QUINCE.com/nextlevel for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/nextlevel. You know what I wish? I wish I knew what happened to all that melting pot stuff, because I would love to have some of that stuff.
Check out the next auction.
Do you think it'll be in the auction? Or do you think they just threw that shit out?
I bet they threw it out.
I think they threw it out.
I think there was so much stuff in storage that nobody knows what to do with or knows the value of or anything.
Maybe I'll ask Brian if he knows what happened to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I do see it in the auction, I'm definitely going to look for it because I would love to have it. I mean, I think there was like 8 burners or 10 burners or something like that. Like, I don't need all 10 of them or anything like that, but it would be nice to have like 2. Maybe I'll just go to the melting pot and ask for my own.
How do I buy my own pots?
Yeah.
And it sounds so funny because we say at one point in the show that it's easier to bring the restaurant to Hef than convince Hef to go an hour and a half to a restaurant. And that's absolutely true from our perspective. But it sounds funny, I think, from a viewer's perspective. Like, you can't get somebody to make a long trek to a restaurant. It's just easier to bring the restaurant to the house.
Yeah. No, it was absolutely true. And I didn't think anything of it when I saw that. I wonder if Melting Pot was like, holy shit, this is tons of free advertising for us. Or if they were like, this is weird. We're not sponsoring their show.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they must have been okay with it if they gave the pots or allowed people to buy the pots and stuff like that. Not like Olive Garden that didn't want to be mentioned on our show.
I know. Like, what a difference, right?
Totally.
And then in interview, I say some people might think it's a little weird to throw an anniversary party for your boyfriend and your girlfriend, but it's really not, because I'm into the situation with Holly and Hef being the main relationship and actually became friends with Holly before developing a relationship with Hef. And to me, that is the number one thing. I think what it all boils down to, and what I was trying to say, is it's not weird because we respect that they're the main relationship and we're just kind of here and living here and being a part of all of this.
And I very much appreciated that because other people didn't see it that way. Like, other people, like Hef and I would already be established and other girls would come along and not give a fuck.
Yeah.
And want to either push me out or get me replaced. And then you inhale the helium. How does that work? How does helium make your voice change? Do you know?
I think it constricts your larynx or something like that. I don't know exactly. I could be wrong. Somebody out there's probably going, no, it's the da-da-da-da-da. But I think it constricts it.
We'll have to check. I'll
it also
put some text in the video once I find out.
It also supposedly kills 1 billion brain cells. So
no,
no, I don't know how many, but I don't think it's good for you.
Oh my gosh! And then you walk into the library to show Hef your voice, And he is cackling. He's getting such a kick out of it.
But he is disheveled. Like, he's
disheveled, yeah. But he's so happy about it and so funny. And it reminds me of like when he's reading Kendra's MySpace thing in the office. So into it, so laughing. He's just so happy in this episode.
You know what's interesting is when I watched myself do this in the scene and I just sort of walk in, and clearly I don't think anything wrong of it, but for some reason, when I'm watching it now, 18 years later or whatever, I have a hesitation in myself, like, don't just walk in there. Oh my God, he's going to be so mad at you. Like, that was my initial thought when I was doing that. I was like, oh my God, how is he going to react? Is he going to think, if he's busy doing something, he might not think that this is funny right now that I just walked in on him. But obviously, I think it's totally fine in the time. And I just open the door. Like, I don't even knock. I just open the door, walk in. He's obviously very busy doing those notes because his hair is a mess and he's just, you know, a mess. But he like laughs about it and has a good time with it. And then, I mean, he shuffles me back out the door right away to get back to work. But like, he's not mad at all. But there is a moment where I feel like I'm going to get in trouble before I remember what actually happened or see what actually happened in the scene.
Yeah, because I think when we look back on our time there, you just never knew what you were going to get with him attitude-wise or mood-wise. But I think at that moment in time in season 2, he was just in such a great mood.
Yeah. And so happy about the show.
Totally. And if you're popping in with the cameras, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
That wouldn't always be the case moving forward, but...
But it kind of reminded me of the feeling I got when we were in Spain and Kendra and I were like oohing and eyeing out the window and he's like, okay. Like, that's the grump I thought I might get at this point. Like, okay, I'm busy. Get out of here, you know, kind of thing. But instead, he was like super into it.
And then they cut to Kendra writing out a card in her room.
And then Kendra says in an interview, we all have this wonderful bond with Hef, but tonight is Holly and Hef's anniversary, so I had to get them a card. I mean, Hef always gives me a card on our anniversary, so same thing. And then it shows Kendra asleep on the bed, and this is when she says in commentary, she's like, oh my God, I fell asleep that day. I can't remember why I was so tired. And you're like, because that was the day of the bunny hunt and it was a long ass day.
Yeah. I get why they're asking you and Kendra to clarify.
Oh, because they're trying to really point out how unconventional this is.
Totally. And they're thinking, oh, the audience is going to have questions, which is true. But I think for us, it just felt so matter of fact.
I was just going to say, like, even in the season, I think it was the season before when we go to dinner at Trader Vic's for your guys' anniversary or whatever, or even before we were filming, and I would go to Trader Vic's ahead of time and like decorate the table for your guys' anniversary or whatever. Maybe I am just crazy, but I never felt weird about this.
And I never felt weird about celebrating my anniversary with him. I mean, we will later in this scene because he does something weird that was unconventional compared to all the other years we celebrated our anniversaries. But I never thought it was weird. And I started doing that with Hef on our first anniversary just because I realized I was living in this place that was Groundhog's Day, and it was great in a lot of ways, but it was also really repetitive, and I wanted to try and make every month, every week as festive as I could. And why not pick a special restaurant and do it kind of special because this is our anniversary? Why not? This show is sponsored by Nurx. So I know you guys have been wondering why my skin looks so fabulous. No, seriously, some people ask. A few people ask. Well, one of the things I use on my skin is Retin A. I've used it on and off throughout my life since I was 11 years old. And when I need to get that Retin A prescription again, but maybe it's been a couple years since I've been to the dermatologist and it's just not convenient for me to get back there, I have a really busy schedule, I turned to Nurx and I got my Retin A prescription from them, was able to pick it up from my pharmacy. Super easy. It's been a great addition to my life. I love anything that makes my life easier, don't you? Nurx's licensed medical providers possess in-depth knowledge and are there to help women take control of their healthcare journey. No more one-size-fits-all approaches, only effective, tailored solutions. To date, Nurx has served more than 1.6 million birth control patients in the U.S. Nurx is convenient, private, and compassionate. Nurx provides reliable reproductive and sexual health care, no judgment or stigma attached. Thanks to Nurx for sponsoring this podcast. Taking control of your reproductive health starts here. Go to nurx.com/nextlevel to get started. That's nurx.com/nextlevel. Results may vary. Not offered in every state. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate. Consultation required. And then they cut to me talking about hefts in my relationship and the sappy music.
Yeah, I put sentimental music as
God,
playing.
It's awful. It's such a downer. And I'm saying in my confessional interview that I know nothing's going to change anytime soon in our relationship. And I think that's interesting to point out because I'm not as dumb and oblivious as everybody always tried to, as outsiders tried to make me seem when they would criticize the show back then, because everybody always be like, oh, Holly's so dumb, what the fuck is she thinking, he's not really into her, like they're not really a couple, like they're not, like I know everybody's thinking that, and I know our relationship was like on the slow boat to China at that point, you know what I mean? And it's obvious here in my interview. But I feel like back then people always treated me like I was so dumb and like I had no clue that this relationship sucked, you know?
See, I did feel like it was going to go somewhere, but I knew that there was a time on it, that it couldn't happen until a certain time.
Yeah.
And that it meant for you to have to stick around in this same situation until that time could happen. But that it would definitely, if you wanted it, would happen. And like I said in the last episode, like there was no doubt in my mind that you were like the one for him and that he was very happy with you. I know you weren't so happy, but like I really felt like if you were willing to stick around, like you were going to be the one.
Yeah, it just felt like such a long time as being in your 20s too.
Yeah. Well, because it wouldn't happen where he would be able to get married for what, like 3 more years after we left or so?
I think it was a little bit sooner than that.
Like
after
2
we
years
left,
after we
maybe
left?
2 years, but it just felt like a lifetime to me.
Yeah. But by that point, you would have been with him for like 7 years total, right?
When I left, it was 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have been 9 years before like an engagement or something.
Yeah. And then I'm talking about how I enjoy our life because the social life comes to us. And I just want to clarify, I'm not talking about the bedroom. I don't think anybody thinks I'm talking about that.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't think
but
that.
I did love how convenient it was because I really enjoyed like Hef's friends and things like that. I thought it was really nice how convenient it was that the social life did come to you.
Oh, for
like
sure.
You could just go downstairs and like buffet and movie was going. And
or if your
parties and stuff like that.
If your outfit was uncomfortable, you just run upstairs and change and come back down more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was nice that everybody came there. And not only did everybody come there, but everybody was happy to come there. Everybody was excited to come there. Like it wasn't like, oh shit, I got to go back to Holly's again. It was like, no, we're going to the mansion tonight for dinner or whatever was happening.
Yeah, I could have used a little more privacy upstairs, but once you chose to go downstairs, it was nice that the social life came to you, I think.
Yeah.
And like meeting all the playmates and stuff.
I think we should talk for a minute. I know it's not off the subject because it's in here, but talk about the crystal bras. Because you're wearing one in this.
Yeah, it's a purple one. And I wanted to actually wear it today, but I can't find it. And I know I have it because I just got done like putting everything in like better storage containers, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, damn.
So
it's so amazing.
Opportunity. Ashley made it.
Yes.
Ashley made me all these really cool Swarovski crystal bras that I would wear with different things. Like I wore one for MTV Cribs, and then this one that I wore, the purple one, it's just so pretty and so sparkly.
And then we made them too for different parties and events. I have like several different ones, but they were like a thing at that time. And I still think they're amazing. Like if I would bring them back for the right outfit. Like I have to find them, but I would totally bring them back. But Ashley suggested that we do a couple of them and put them in our store. But the only problem with that, it's bra, so you need sizing.
Yeah, custom sizes.
And then secondly, because of all those crystals and all the
really
work,
expensive.
It would be
practical.
So expensive. But she was like, "Oh no, I know somebody who would like make a couple of them if you want to try it." So let us know in the comments if anybody is interested in one of those crystal bras.
I thought the bathroom, which is where this scene is happening, was so pretty, and you didn't really get to see it in its full glory because it was so cluttered.
Oh, well,
but it was
like the whole room.
Like, it was very like 1920s black marble with like murals on the walls. It was really pretty.
I remember the first time seeing that bathroom, it kind of took me off guard. I'd never seen a bathroom so big and so dark, kind of. Mm-hmm. Like bathrooms are usually kind of like white and bright and much smaller. And I was like, wow, like all the black that was in there and stuff. I was really shocked.
And I think it was one of the rooms that Hef kept original to the house and didn't change anything about. And he said the master bedroom used to be like Marie Antoinette style before he remodeled it.
Well, do you remember seeing the pictures? Yeah. There were like 2 beds in there.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
The opposite of what was to
guess
come.
Because back in the day, people didn't sleep in the same bed, right? You had to sleep in separate beds.
I don't think you had to, but I think it was a posh thing to have like separate bedrooms and things like that.
Yeah, because I know like on isn't it like TV shows? Like I could be wrong on this.
They had to do it for TV. It's not necessarily that people were doing that in real life, but like they weren't allowed to show like I Love Lucy and her husband in the same bed because that insinuated sex, even though they were married. So who should care? But that was how it was in the 50s on TV. I don't think they showed a couple in bed together until the Brady Bunch.
Whoa.
I don't know for a fact if that was the first one, but I think it might have been one of the first.
So it wasn't a thing that people actually did back then. It's just the way they portrayed it on TV for censors.
I'm sure some people slept separate, but I don't think it was the common thing, especially if you're on a limited budget. I think it was more like a posh thing. Like you would have 2 separate bedroom suites if you were really doing well. And then I bend over in front of the cameras and it makes me cringe so much because first of all, I'm wearing like the ugliest underwear. It looks like full butt, like child print underwear or something. You know what I mean?
You say it's your Harajuku
underwear. Yeah, because Gwen Stefani had that Harajuku Girls line. Mm-hmm. So, okay, that's what it was. And then Hef and I are outside leading everyone out into the aviary to see the fish, and I just have the loudest shoes on. All you can hear are my shoes clunking on the concrete.
Can we talk about what they didn't show?
Yes. So there was a giant white van outside, and it was the TV cruise van. And we walk out, and I'm like, I want to show you your present, honey. Ta-da! And I acted like it was the van.
A van! I got you a van.
So confused.
He got mad, kind of. He's like, a van? Why would you get me a van? Like, what are we going to do with that? He was so mad.
It was so funny. But I'm annoyed because they didn't show that on the show, and I thought it would have been funny. And of course, I think their mentality is, oh, well, that's behind the scenes. You're not supposed to see that. That's the cruise van. It wasn't marked. It was a plain white van. But I don't know. I feel like anytime I did get like a real life funny moment or something, it was always like never shown on the show.
Yeah, I remember we both would complain about that to Kevin back in the day while we were shooting this. We're like, why do all our funny moments get cropped out, but Kendra can have every funny moment?
Yeah, she was like the only one allowed to be funny, and all of ours got cut.
Yeah.
And there was one even, and I remember even Kendra was like super rooting for this one to be included. It was like we went out to the pet cemetery, and it was like after Archie passed away, or somebody passed away, or he was talking about Archie. I don't know. When we were at the pet cemetery. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Archie had actually passed away. We were at the pet cemetery, and Hef said something about, he misgendered the dog. And it was just really funny because there was a beat, and then I go, Hef, Archie's a boy. And it was just really funny the way it played out. And Kendra kept bugging, like, why is that scene not in there? It's so funny. And they wouldn't put it in. And I don't know if they thought it made Hef look dumb, which it didn't.
Oh.
But that's the only logic I can think of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like any time we had a funny scene, it was cut out.
I know.
It was never included.
I remember us thinking
or
that.
something, or we'd get a really funny line in, and we'd look over, and the camera would just be down, and they wouldn't be filming. It was always stuff like that. I swear to God.
Yeah, it was. I remember that too.
I'm not saying I was funny all the time or so fucking funny, but I do know we did have some funny scenes that were just never allowed to be shown for whatever reason.
Yeah. So we go out to the aviary, and we talked about how cool the aviary was in the last episode, right? So it's amazing out there, and you get a glimpse of it here, and you're showing him the new fish.
You know what we didn't talk about, though, is what a dark episode this is. Like, literally dark. Like, all the scenes are dark. Like, when we're getting up for Loveline, it's dark. Loveline is dark. Like, almost every scene in this episode, even in the first half, but we forgot to mention it last week, is just a really dark. Even like with Coco, or when your aunt walks into the Great Hall, everything is really dark in this episode. And this is another dark scene in the aviary, just not lit at all.
That's interesting.
It's darker than any other episode, I think.
I wonder if it's just because we're shooting it in odd hours, like not in the broad daylight, or if it's because...
I don't know, but it's so consistent that I almost wonder, like, did they put Loveline and this together for a reason? Like, is this just the dark episode?
Like, yeah, it makes me wonder if they did it for a stylized reason or if it was just the way, like the timing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'd want to make it dark, though, because that was so not what the show was, and that was so not what E would want.
Yeah.
It was just weird. And then when I finally get Hef in front of the fish tank, you can kind of tell he's losing his patience a little at this point because he'd been walking so far and he has a bad back.
Yeah. In commentary, I'm asking you about the eel because I'm scared of eels. And there's an eel in that fish tank. There's 2 of them.
What happened with eels?
Nothing really, but I've just been scared of them because I did a trip to Mexico. And we went out on this. They took us way out in like the middle of the ocean, and then you couldn't go snorkeling and stuff. And there's a guide, and he took a fish and he like broke it in half and put it in his mouth, and then he swam down, and then you like watch with your, snorkel gear and stuff. And he goes down to this rock on the bottom of the ocean, and it's crystal clear because it's Mexico, and he pulls. Well, he like gets close to the rock with his mouth, and all of a sudden an eel comes out from under the rock and it's trying to get the fish out of his mouth, and then he backs up to get the eel to come all the way out, and then the eel comes out and is swimming after him after the fish, and then he has the other half in his hand and he feeds him what's in his hand, but he did it to get the eel to come out, and I'm like, that is so scary.
Ew,
that something like that exists.
In his mouth.
Then the next day we went into cenote, like the underground rivers, and you can go just floating around. They're amazing. I wish I could do that all the time.
Yeah.
And they said, stay away from the edges because there's eels sometimes in the edges and the rocks and stuff. And I was so terrified that there could be an eel in here with us.
Yeah.
And did not want to get anywhere near the edge, like at all. So I was just always been scared of eels ever since.
Eels.
And I just think they're gross because they're like snake-like and blech.
You guys, you know what I'm so cheap about? Being nickeled and dimed to death. Don't you hate it when you sign up for a subscription for an app you want to try and you mean to cancel it, but you never do? You completely forget about it, and then you're being charged God knows how much. Well, when I signed up for Rocket Money, they found all my subscriptions I forgot about. And you know what else they did? They canceled them for me. And I love that too, because when you try to cancel something, and sometimes you can't even find the number you're supposed to call to cancel it, they don't make it easy. I think they do that on purpose, but you know who does make it easy? Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/nextlevel. That's rocketmoney.com/nextlevel. rocketmoney.com/nextlevel. So then we go back into the living room where the melting pot is set up. Should we mention who's there?
One other question. One other thing I wanted to note about that. I kept bugging you for the longest time about putting seahorses in there. And in commentary, I asked, are we ever going to get the seahorses? And you say that we can't do it because they're too hard to keep alive. Even SeaWorld has trouble keeping their seahorses alive because they're just like very, I don't want to say picky, but like their habitat has to be just right.
Seahorses forever. Do you remember that weird recording about 10 years ago that went around, and it was a guy on acid who got locked in a closet, and he's just talking all this mumble jumble, and he's like, Mr. Balloon hands, seahorses forever.
No, I never heard any of this.
Because it went viral like 10, 15 years ago, and it was just so funny.
Oh my gosh.
It was a thing. So maybe we should mention who's there at the anniversary dinner.
Yeah. I didn't make a list. Did you?
Yeah. So it's us, obviously, Jade Nicole, who's probably still shooting her Playmate stuff, Amanda Page, a Playmate who was living at the Playmate house, Sarah Underwood, who was living at the Playmate house, Kia Drayton, who is a local Playmate, who I'm surprised we don't see more of on the show. I don't know why she wasn't around more. Crystal Camden, Hef's former girlfriend, is there.
Yeah, I wrote that in here. Oh, Hef's former girlfriend came.
And the other one I was kind of surprised to see there because weren't really close to her, but she's also at my Marie Antoinette birthday, is Lauren Anderson. Do you remember much about her?
Yeah, I remember her.
But she wasn't one of the playmates we were very close to.
She must have just been there shooting something.
Yeah, I think she was there working a promo. And then they do this funny cut to you because Brian turns on the flame and says, there's going to be an open flame. And they cut to this look on your face to make you look so concerned.
Yeah, well, I think I was concerned because I just felt like that was a little scary to have all those open flames like that. And it wasn't just some like little trickle of a flame. It was like a big flame.
And then Hef says, and for our opening act, Holly and I are going to burst into flames. And they do a weird cut to Kendra's face and insert Kendra's laugh that wasn't like really there.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. And then when Hef picks up a carrot and says rabbit food, they put in a fake laugh from me.
Oh my gosh.
So that we're just cutting it up here.
Yeah.
And then this is something that I'm hesitant to bring up because I don't think people will understand it. And I think people will think I'm being like mean and exclusive when I say it. But it really sent me when Hef was like talking about the anniversary and he goes, but I really think of this as like the beginning of all of this. Like my relationship with you, Bridget, and my relationship with you, Kendra. And at the time, I felt like that was such a slap in the face. And I know other people watching or listening are going to be like, he's just trying to like be nice to everybody, include everybody. What's your fucking problem? But to me, it felt like a massive slap in the face. Like, I'm not even going to let you have this one day.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I felt like it was unnecessary. And I think my face even says something to it. Like, I kind of go...
Well, I kind of felt the vibe too in the moment. I feel like you and Kendra both felt like, oh, this is kind of awkward.
Yeah. See, so that made me feel the opposite way of how I feel like I'm all supportive of it all the whole time. But then when he did that, then you start to feel like, oh, wait, this is weird now because this is their day. This is their moment. Like, you can tell us that you care about us tomorrow. Like, let this be your day.
And he never did that any other year that we celebrated our anniversary. He never like interrupted the dinner and was like, but I want you guys all to know that this isn't just about me. And he never did that. So the fact that the cameras are on and I'm sitting here like a dumbass thinking, oh, I'm finally getting a day. I'm finally getting an episode. I'm finally getting a day where I get to feel special. He does that. And to me, it felt like a huge slap in the face. And I know to anybody watching, it probably doesn't seem like that on the outside. But to me, it made me feel so stupid. And it just like right then the whole day turned and I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Yeah.
I totally know what you mean about feeling that way, though, because I know that it felt weird. I can see the look on my face. I'm just sort of like, like it looks awkward and cringy.
Yeah.
And I can totally see how it would make you feel that way.
Yeah, and then I'm talking in voiceover saying, I've never been as connected to somebody as I am to Hef, which is true, but the only person I have that to compare to really is like my high school boyfriend, so it doesn't really say a lot.
Yeah.
And then it's just this monologue of me trying to make excuses for the relationship, which is kind of what I'm always asked to do throughout this series. And I'm like, I can share a lifestyle with him that's unique and one of a kind, which is true. And then Hef starts to read my card aloud to him, which of course I pick like a very romantic card. And I just got so embarrassed. I wanted to die. And I just started crying because I was miserable and embarrassed. And I just felt like, I do not want to be here. I just felt so dumb. I felt like this relationship isn't going anywhere. He just made a fool of me yet again, like he's always doing. And now he's reading out loud this card, which is not, it's supposed to be private. It's not supposed to be read aloud for the entire country to see. So I just like broke down. And I feel like for me, this was like the point, this was just like the breaking point where I'd been trying to be like so in control and so not emotional for this whole series. And then I just finally broke.
Yeah.
I was just like, fuck this. So that's why it's so embarrassing to me is I didn't want to share my feelings with the entire world. And I felt like I was kind of made to, and the camera just caught me at the wrong time. And it's embarrassing. And I also feel like, you know, I tried to play it off at the time, was like, oh, I'm crying because I'm so happy, you know, because what else are you going to do? Like, that's how I continued to play it off. But it's just not the truth. And it's just embarrassing to me.
Yeah, it definitely comes off like you're crying because you're emotional and happy about the situation and emotional about the situation and your relationship and the anniversary and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's definitely way more behind it than just that.
And it's also like, this is already an embarrassing relationship to have to share with the world. Like, it's one of the reasons I was reluctant to even do a reality show. Like I said, I feel like I'm constantly being called upon to like defend the relationship, and I know how dumb it looks and I know how dumb it is, and I just broke down.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to you saying it's been a rocky road to get to this point. which is, of course, is referring to like the Mean Girls era and everything we had to go through in the early days of the relationship. And it just makes me wonder, because I know we make a couple references in this series to how things were bad when there were more girlfriends, but I never got the feeling that fans were very intrigued or wondering what went wrong. Like, I feel like nowadays everybody wants to know every detail about everything. But back then I feel like it was just kind of accepted. Like, maybe people thought, oh, well, of course, if there's more girls, Holly's not going to like that. Or maybe it was just more hectic, or maybe it's just more catty. But I don't think anybody had any kind of clue as to how bad it was.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think a lot of people look at it and be like, oh, well, that's because they're the ex-girlfriends. Like, nobody likes ex-girlfriends or whatever. Mm-hmm. But we did like the ex-girlfriends. We stayed friends with a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, look at Stacy. Look at Crystal. Mm-hmm. Like, even we were on good terms with Brandy and Tina. And so it wasn't like, oh, ex-girlfriend, ew. Yeah. Like, we were on good terms still with as many as we could be. And that wanted to be on good terms with us. So it isn't even the matter of, like, being exes. But I think people just think that, like, oh, well, it's an ex-girlfriend. It was, of course they're not going to get along with them. That was not it.
No. And I feel like, too, if Kendra could have magically understood how bad it was, I feel like we would have got along better with Kendra.
I think so, too.
Because obviously we told her, like, things were crazy, things were hectic. We don't want any more than 3 girlfriends because it gets bad. Like, we told her that, but I think being told that is one thing. And if she really knew how we felt and knew what that felt like, I feel like she would have valued getting along better and would have valued what we had better and wouldn't have been trying to, like, compete or, like, stomp other people out the whole time.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Well, one gripe I have about this scene is they don't really show anybody eating except for me. And they show me, like, shoving my face. They show me, like, dropping it and cheese dripping off my mouth and stuff. And I'm like, so he's trying to make me look like a pig.
Again. That's annoying.
Like, I can't eat without it dripping all over my face. And all I care about is shoving my face with this. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, Kevin.
Yeah.
Add his old tricks again.
Totally.
In this scene, Hef is crying too. I think those are legitimate tears.
I didn't even notice if he was crying or not.
He gets very sentimental over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he at least pretends to wipe them, so I'm assuming they're there. And then they kind of make it worse because not only does he say both of those things to Kendra and I, but then he, like, makes it a point of, like, giving us a kiss goodnight as you guys are going up to the bedroom, like, And
that wasn't typical, right?
No, I mean, I would say it was typical, but I feel like they really make it a point to show him leaning over and giving me a kiss goodnight, then leaning over and giving Kendra a kiss goodnight, whereas it just seemed to be a lingering scene, whereas usually it was just sort of a quick, okay, goodnight, like fast thing, if, at all. But I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't not typical. But I just felt like they really wanted to focus on those kinds of things in the scene to make it look like, well, you thought you were special, but it's not just your day.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, and then in commentary, I say something interesting that I couldn't go to bed this night. I was so tired, but I had to leave for the Playboy Studios at 3 a.m. to Playboy Radio and go do something for Playboy Radio.
Why 3 a.m.?
I had to be there at 4 a.m. because I guess that's when they go on air.
Jesus.
Or something. I don't know.
And they were, like, way out past Los Feliz, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a long
Glendale.
drive.
It was the Glendale office. So, yeah, doing the bunny hunt all day long, and then filming the dinner, and then going to Playboy Radio at 3 a.m. So it was a rough day.
That's crazy. What's your best and worst for the episode?
I think the worst for me is probably just... It's hard. I think it's the circus because of everything we know now and the treatment of animals and stuff like that. I love that scene because it was so colorful and bright and fun.
To look at, for sure.
So I really, really like it. I liked my outfit and stuff, but I definitely think something was wrong with me at the beginning. Aww. And obviously the treatment of animals now, like, I feel like, I don't really want to be in a position where I'm promoting the circus kind of thing. But I think that's probably the worst for me.
What about best?
My best is, I think that there was a lot of my best is actually in the commentary. We are getting along so well in the commentary, and we're having so much fun, and Kendra's participating, and we're having like fun banter. And I know it's not exactly the episode, but I just feel like we are getting along so well. And my other best, but I hesitate to say it now, is just seeing you be emotional. And I hesitate to say it now because it's for bad reasons. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like it's showing a little bit a part of you. You know what I mean? And even though it's not what people think it is, I think it was like cracking your armor just a little bit and giving people like a peek. The only problem is they saw a peek of, it was interpreted, it was presented in the wrong way.
And it's something I didn't want to share.
Yeah.
But like they'll show that of my personality, the shit I don't want to share. But like they'll take out my funny lines.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so annoying. So my worst is definitely that. My worst is just like that was a really miserable, embarrassing moment for me. And it was just kind of like a culmination of all like the embarrassment I'd felt for the last 5 years. Best, I think, is this episode just has all these little moments that I think are important and that I'm glad are on camera, like documenting the aviary because it's not there anymore. I'm glad that that got documented. I'm glad that it got documented that Hef and I are joking around together about engagement rings and he thinks it's funny too. And he's in such a good mood in this episode, which I think shows what a good place he was in and how happy he was with the show. And all the documentation of Coco. There's just stuff in there that I'm glad is documented, I think is my best.
Yeah, for sure.
So should we tell everybody what the next episode we're going to cover
is? I think I've mentioned it a bunch of times just because it was the same day. So there was like a little bit of overlap. But the next season is rabbit season.
Yeah, and we need to tell you guys because we're...
Wait, did I say the next season is rabbit season? The next episode is rabbit season.
And we need to tell you guys because we go in release order, like the way the episodes originally aired, which also lines up with how they are on the DVD. And I know streaming has some of the episodes out of order. And obviously there's different places you can stream it. So different streamers are different. So we're not going to go by those because they're just not accurate.
Yeah. And even the DVDs are a little bit off. They're pretty on, but they're a little bit off from the actual air date.
Like which one?
Some of the ones we just did already, because I know that I was asking you, because there was 2 that were out of order, and I was like, "Are you sure we're doing that one next?" But the air date was different, so.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a whole slippy, slidey mess.
It really is. But it's the Bunny Hut for the Playboy Club opening at the Palms in Las Vegas. And I actually have watched that one already, so I'm a little bit ahead.
Yeah, that one's interesting. It's probably my 3rd favorite episode of this season, but there's also some stuff I really don't like about it. So, and I don't know if it's going to be next week. Next week we might have an interview, but it's the next episode we're doing. So just so you guys are prepared.
Yeah.
So if you would like more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. For more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel.